You ever notice how the world always doubts the Philippines until we do the impossible? Every time they say we're too small, too poor, or too scattered to matter, we rise, stronger than before. This time though, it's different. What just happened shocked even the most powerful nations, because Filipinos didn't just set a record, we did something no other nation on earth has ever done. From the streets of Manila to the hospitals of London, the world's watching, and for once, they're not saying, wow, they work hard, they're saying, how the hell did they do that? If you're interested in this topic, hit the like button, subscribe, and type interested in the comments, and I will give you a heart. You see, when most countries make headlines, it's for politics, war, or scandals. But when the Philippines makes headlines, it's because we did something humanly impossible, something the rest of the world thought couldn't be done without money, power, or influence. But here's the shocker, we did it with heart. And let's talk about the record that just got shattered. Filipinos officially became the most globally integrated workforce in human history. There are now over 13 million Filipinos living and working abroad in more than 200 countries, holding up the world like invisible pillars. No nation, not China, not India, not even the US, has ever done that. But this isn't just about numbers. This is about what those numbers mean. It means every time a plane lands in a foreign city, there's a Filipino on board making sure people get there safely. Every time a hospital saves a life, there's a Filipino nurse standing in the corner, calm under pressure. Every time a skyscraper rises, there's a Filipino worker tightening the bolts. Every time the lights come on in someone's home, there's a Filipino engineer who made sure it didn't go dark. We're not just working abroad, we're literally keeping the world running. And yet, most people don't even notice. They see Filipinos everywhere, but rarely see them until now. Because this year, something changed. A recent ILO report revealed that Filipino workers collectively sent back $40 billion, 0 cents in remittances, the highest in Southeast Asia and the third highest globally. That's not just money, that's fuel. That money keeps the Philippine economy stable. It builds schools, pays tuition, buys rice, pays hospital bills, and most importantly, keeps hope alive. And here's where it gets insane. Even during the global crises, pandemics, wars, when other nations pulled back, Filipinos kept showing up. We didn't stop, not once. Think about that. While billionaires were hiding in bunkers, Filipinos were boarding planes, heading straight into chaos to keep the world running. Nurses in Italy worked through the deadliest waves of the pandemic. Seafarers kept global trade moving when borders closed. Caregivers in Japan stayed with their elderly patients even when flights home were canceled. It wasn't heroism for show, it was heroism by nature. And you know what's funny? Other nations call it bravery, we just call it trabajo like. Just work, just doing what needs to be done, because while others work for titles, we work for purpose. That's what sets Filipinos apart. The world works to survive, Filipinos work to serve. And it's that attitude that broke the record, because service doesn't need a spotlight, it just needs someone willing to care enough to show up every day. Now, let's get real. Behind every remittance is a story they don't talk about. The lonely birthdays, the video calls where the screen freezes right when your kid says, I love you. The Christmas dinners eaten over Wi-Fi. That's the hidden price of that $40 billion 0 cents miracle. Every dollar came with tears attached. But Filipinos still send it. Why? Because love doesn't stop at the border. And while governments and analysts celebrate economic growth, most of us know the truth. It's not numbers growing, it's sacrifice growing. Every statistic is a mother, a father, a dreamer who said, I'll leave home so you don't have to. If you've ever been that person or loved someone who left everything to make life better for others, type respect in the comments. Because it's time the world understood that what Filipinos do every single day isn't just work, it's history in motion. But here's where it gets even deeper. While the rest of the world is facing labor shortages, the Philippines has become the go-to solution for stability. Japan, Canada, the UK, they're all expanding migration pathways specifically for Filipinos. Why? Because when they tried hiring elsewhere, it didn't work. The quality, the loyalty, the adaptability, it's unmatched. One Japanese CEO literally said in an interview, Filipinos don't just work, they make us feel human again. That's not just a compliment, that's proof. Proof that while technology can replace skill, it can't replace soul. The world has machines for almost everything now, but you can't program empathy. You can't code laughter in a hospital corridor. You can't teach compassion in a 3-week course. But Filipinos bring that naturally. That's the thing we just did that no other nation could replicate. We built the world's first global heart network. Not through the internet, not through apps, but through people, through millions of living, breathing bridges of kindness connecting nations that would otherwise collapse without them. So the next time someone says, "What makes the Philippines special?" tell them this. It's not about what we have, it's about who we are. We may not have the biggest armies or the strongest currency, but we've got something the world can't buy: human gold. And the best part, that gold doesn't shine, it serves. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine the world as one giant machine. Gears turning, lights blinking, engines roaring. Now remove the Filipinos from that machine just for one day. Boom, the entire system collapses. Planes grounded, hospitals short-staffed, ships idle in ports, kids left crying in empty apartments. That's not exaggeration, that's reality. Because what the world never admits out loud is this: Filipinos are the invisible engine keeping humanity running. Take the global shipping industry, for example. Around 1 in every 4 seafarers in the world today is Filipino. That means 25% of global trade. The food you eat, the fuel that powers your car, the phone you're probably watching this on, all of it moves because of a Filipino hand steering a ship through the ocean. When the Ever Given cargo ship got stuck in the Suez Canal, guess who helped unstuck it? Filipino crews, quietly, efficiently, without a single headline. But you see, that's the beauty and tragedy of being Filipino. We're the world's heartbeat, but we rarely get the credit for the pulse. During the pandemic, when cities shut down and governments panicked, Filipino workers kept going. While billionaires were hoarding toilet paper, Filipino nurses were holding the line. When supermarkets were empty, Filipino seafarers were still delivering goods across oceans. When families hid indoors, Filipino caregivers stayed behind with the elderly who had no one else. We were the last ones standing, even when everyone else gave up. And let's not sugarcoat it. The world took advantage of that because Filipinos rarely say no. We endure, we adapt, we smile. Even when we're exhausted, underpaid, and underappreciated, we still show up. That's not weakness. That's an evolved form of strength. The kind that scares lazy nations and humbles powerful ones. Do you think I'm exaggerating? Look at Japan. When they tightened their labor laws, thinking they could replace Filipinos with locals, their elderly care system nearly collapsed. When Saudi Arabia tried replacing Filipino nurses with cheaper alternatives, patient satisfaction dropped so low, they had to bring Filipinos back with higher pay this time. Every time a country pushes us out, reality slaps them in the face. You can't build civilization without Filipinos. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. We didn't just dominate low skill or service jobs. We've quietly infiltrated the highest levels of global systems. Filipino engineers now design the infrastructure of Singapore, Dubai, and Toronto. Filipino tech specialists work inside Google, NASA, and Tesla. Filipino doctors lead hospitals in the UK. Filipino entrepreneurs run startups in California, London, and Seoul. We're not just everywhere, we're essential everywhere. And yet, we stay humble. No look at me, no victory laps, no self-promotion. That's not the Filipino way. Our success doesn't scream, it serves. If you've ever worked with a Filipino and thought, how do they stay kind even when the world isn't? Drop A in the comments, because it's time we stop letting the world romanticize Filipino resilience and start calling it what it really is: Filipino excellence. Now, let's talk about what's behind that excellence. It's not luck, it's not magic, it's culture. 3 things drive every Filipino: faith, family, and pride. Faith, because no matter how tough the world gets, we still find time to pray before work, whisper, "Lord, help me," before a long shift, or send a "God bless" even to strangers. That quiet faith keeps us grounded in chaos. Family, because we don't work for ourselves. Every overtime hour, every missed birthday, every aching back, it's for our loved ones. It's the thought of a child graduating, a parent smiling, a roof being repaired. It's not about self-glory, it's about legacy. And pride, not arrogance, but dignity. The kind that says, I may not have much, but I do my job right. That's the Filipino way. We take dirty jobs and make them honorable. We take impossible odds and make them possible. We take pain and turn it into purpose. The world noticed, quietly, slowly, but they noticed. Japan changed its immigration laws for Filipinos. Canada opened special visa lanes for Filipinos. The Middle East revised its wage laws because of Filipinos. When countries start rewriting policies just to bring your people back, that's not coincidence. That's power, silent dominance. But here's what truly makes this record so different. We didn't conquer nations with armies. We conquered hearts through service. While other nations export weapons, the Philippines exports compassion. And compassion, my friend, can't be defeated. Filipinos didn't win through colonization. We won through contribution. We didn't demand seats at the table. We earned them through sweat, kindness, and reliability. That's the new definition of influence. Now think about this. The entire world's GDP would shrink by 1.5% overnight if Filipinos stopped working abroad. That's not a theory. That's from a 2024 World Bank report. Imagine that. The world's economy, its heartbeat, would literally skip a beat if the Philippines paused for one day. And yet, we still get treated like temporary workers, like guests, like replaceable labor. But the truth? We're not guests, we're guardians. We don't just contribute to nations, we keep them alive. So next time someone says, it's just a Filipino worker, tell them, no, it's not just a worker. It's the person who helped your grandmother walk again, the chef who cooked your last hotel meal, the engineer who made sure your train didn't crash, the teacher who raised your kids while you were busy, the seafarer who delivered your Christmas gifts. Without Filipinos, the world doesn't move forward. And we did all that without a superpowers budget, without political leverage, without media spin. We did it with grace, grit, and God. That, right there, is what no other nation has ever done. Here's the funny thing about being Filipino. The world keeps underestimating us every single time. They think we're just the workers, the singers, the nannies, the nurses, but every time they try to build without us, the foundation cracks. You'd think they'd learn by now, right? But maybe that's our secret weapon. We don't need to shout to prove our worth, we let the results speak. Because what Filipinos just did, no other nation could. We didn't rise through conquest, we rose through care. We didn't dominate through control, we dominated through connection. That's what makes this moment so revolutionary. Let's face it, the world runs on power, ego, and money. But Filipinos introduced a fourth currency, trust. Think about it. When Japan lets you take care of their aging parents, that's not a transaction, that's trust. When Saudi families hand you their newborn babies, that's not labor, that's love. When Canadian hospitals hand you the lives of their patients, that's not employment, that's faith. We're not the world's employees, we're the world's guardians. And the irony? The Philippines has done all this while fighting its own storms, poverty, corruption, natural disasters. Yet somehow, we still send our best to heal the world. If resilience were a global currency, we'd be richer than Silicon Valley. You see, every nation builds its pride on something. The US has innovation, Japan has precision, Germany has discipline. But the Philippines? We have soul. That's why no one can copy us. You can teach skills, you can buy technology, but you can't manufacture heart. And the world is finally realizing that. When the pandemic ended, European nations held summits to discuss critical worker shortages. You know who was at the top of every recruitment list? Filipinos. When the International Nursing Federation ranked the most reliable global healthcare workers, guess who topped the charts again? Filipinos! And when the UAE honored heroes of the pandemic, the majority were, you guessed it, Filipinos. We're not background characters anymore, we're the backbone of the story. But let me tell you the part that gets me emotional. It's not the awards, not the remnants, not even the global praise. It's the quiet pride. The janitor in Dubai who sends money home every week knowing his child will graduate. The nurse in Canada who prays during breaks because she misses home. The teacher in Hong Kong who calls her family at midnight just to hear laughter through a bad signal. That's what real heroism looks like. No capes, no parades, just faith and work boots. And yet, the world still tries to label us as helpers. You know what? Fine. We'll wear that proudly. Because helpers rebuild broken systems, helpers fix chaos, helpers save lives. If being a helper means making the world function again, then the Philippines just became the most powerful nation on earth. If you're proud to be Filipino, or you've ever been helped by one, drop A in the comments. Let's remind the world that being kind isn't weakness, it's our greatest strength. Now here's where it all comes full circle. When countries tried to live without us, they failed. When they welcomed us back, they thrived. The pattern's clear. Filipinos are the difference between surviving and succeeding. And that's the part that terrifies world leaders, because it means power has quietly shifted, not through politics or armies, but through humanity. The world's stability depends on a people whose national weapon is compassion. And that's not something they can control Look around. Every global crisis now has a Filipino solution behind it. In climate response, it's our engineers helping rebuild flood zones. In healthcare, it's our nurses holding the line. In technology, it's our IT professionals powering global data centers. We don't just fix problems, we prevent collapse. And here's the poetic twist. The very countries that once colonized us now depend on us to keep their systems alive. That's not revenge. That's justice. Quiet, poetic justice. It's almost funny when you think about it. The world used to call us third world. But what's a first world country if it can't function without people from the so-called third? You can keep your fancy passports and your global rankings. The Philippines just earned something far more valuable. Relevance. The kind that doesn't fade, doesn't depend on politics, and can't be bought. Because while other nations brag about wealth, Filipinos create worth. Let that sink in. We've become the moral infrastructure of the modern world, the part you don't see but everything depends on, the glue that holds humanity together when systems break down. And we did it without a single shot fired, just with patience, prayer, and an unshakable sense of duty. So, when people ask, what did Filipinos do that no other nation could? Tell them this. We built a world that works not on fear, but on faith, not on greed, but on giving, not on pride, but on people. And we didn't need to shout to make that happen. We just kept showing up every single day because that's who we are. The world's quiet strength, the invisible force that never quits, the nation that turns pain into power. So the next time someone underestimates a Filipino, let them, because we've got nothing left to prove. The records are broken, the world's already watching, and deep down, they know the truth. The world doesn't move without the Philippines.